Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ken James. I work for Muskegon Community College, and I am a Muskegon Rotarian. And I'm pleased to feature today a friend and community colleague, Angelina Valdez, who is with Servicios de Esperanza, which translates to Services of Hope. But do you mind just introducing yourself and telling our listeners who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Angelina Valdez. I am born and raised here in Muskegon. I only left Muskegon to go to college and came right back. I love everything that I do because I get to work in community.
Okay, very good. And I just put this out there because some of these listeners might like that. When you left to go to college, was that go green?
Yes,
okay.
Go white.
Okay.
The only college that matters. Just kidding. We love all of them.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, you know what? I want to focus a little bit more about you, and I want to focus a little bit on Services of Hope. So we're going to ask some questions about that. So just tell the listeners, how did you get started in counseling, and what keeps you passionate about that work?
Oh, that's a loaded question. My parents were advocates for the community, and I had the privilege and luxury of having such great examples. So I knew going to college that I was going to be a social worker. I didn't know I would be a therapist, but definitely in the helping field. And so when I went off to college, I knew I would be a social worker and come right back to Muskegon. So I've been a therapist now for 19 years, and the practice has been open for 12. So Services of Hope is my baby. Okay. It was born of gaps of service here in Muskegon County. I wanted to do more. I wanted to fill in those gaps of service, and 12 years later, we're still strong.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you for that. And so as I mentioned to you, Services of Hope, and I apologize, my Spanish pronunciation isn't the greatest, but Servicios de Esperanza is how that translates in Spanish. So what inspires you to come up with that name, and how does that just help drive that passion that you just shared with us?
I would say Servicios de Esperanza, most people don't know that my middle name is Esperanza. Right. So I am Angelita Esperanza, which means little angel of hope. Uh-huh. And I think that it's important because sometimes we think that happiness and love is all that we need. Mm-hmm. And I think that third part is that hope because every day is not going to be beautiful. It is not Disney. Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure that even in the tough days and the dark days that we have that little glimmer. What is that light for us? And to make sure that that is there for our community.
Wow. And I, preparing for this conversation, and it's no secret you're active in our community. And if folks don't know you, I would say I think they should get to know you. And that's just my bias in favor towards you. But you work with a wide range of people in the work that you do. Tell us a little bit more about that, whether it's youth, whether it's adults, how do you approach and meet people where they're at?
Sure. So we have a person-centered philosophy. Services of Hope is CARF accredited, which means that we adhere to excellence in our community and in the standards in the work that we do. And so when we work with littles, we were one of the first agencies that really promoted play therapy. Mm-hmm. I think that when folks think about therapy, they think it's just psychotherapy, where you're just talking, you're answering questions, and it's super boring. So we wanted to bring a different flavor to the therapeutic world. We have play therapy, art therapy, sand tray. It's just really important. We would think that it's just for children, but adults can use it as well. Mm-hmm. And just making sure that they're exposed to different types of therapy. On the adult side, we do have traditional therapy. We have different groups. We have substance abuse services. Mm-hmm. We are a full-service mental health and substance abuse outpatient clinic.
Okay, you mentioned that full service. I would be remiss. We're having this conversation. We're in the month of September, and this is Suicide Prevention Month. So if I were just to ask you, and this is kind of off script here, what would you want to say to our listeners about the importance of suicide prevention and what people might need to do if they or someone they know or love is in need of talking to someone?
Absolutely. I think, again, we have the luxury of living in Muskegon, and Muskegon has so many different resources. I would say that if you're concerned for a loved one, that you reach out to the free services that we have in the community. There are QPR classes that are free. We can come to churches. We can come to your place of work or your homes.
QPR? I know what that stands for, but do you mind sharing what that acronym stands for?
Sure. Question, Persuade, and Refer.
Very good. good.
We want to make sure that we're asking the hard questions and that you as a friend or a family member are equipped to ask those hard questions and have those tough conversations, but also to have the resources that are available. I think also when people think about therapy or services like that, they think that there's a big cost when really it could be free or minimal because of insurance, different grants, Health West that we have here, which is our local community mental health. So just to make sure that we know the signs. So that would be my first thing. Know what the signs are and to see how that looks. And I think, again, when we think about mental health, it's still very taboo in our community. We think it's those people that have to worry about it. Suicide, we think it's those people that would be having some suicide ideation or having self-harm thoughts, but really it could be any one of us at any time.
Right.
Again, life is that little roller coaster, and so when it's good, and sometimes when it's bad, it doesn't feel so good. So to be thinking about what does that look like? Are they withdrawing from us? Are they doing different things? Have their moods changed abruptly? What is that tone? Maybe you used to talk to them every Tuesday at 2 o'clock and you haven't heard from them in a couple of weeks. Check in on your loved ones. That's the first step, just to make sure that we're paying attention.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you for those insights and those tips about this, especially, highlighting Suicide Prevention Month. So this is an opportunity. You mentioned there are a free resource out there. Just do you mind sharing with folks, what is the best method to reach you? Is there a website that you can refer people to or an email address that you'd like to offer to someone that might be listening right now?
Sure. So Services of Hope is right downtown Muskegon. I always like to say we're in between the county building and the Burger King, park on the Burger King side. So we're easy to find. We are open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. You can reach us anywhere. We have a webpage, www.servicesofhopecounseling.com. My email is Angelita@servicesofhopecounseling.com. Our phone number is 231-722-7980. And really just making that first phone call. We're going to have an intake specialist take good care of you, get all of your demographic information. And again, don't let finances be your burden because we have lots of grants. We have different opportunities. We can bill over 300 different insurances. So don't let that be the stop. We want you to have that first phone call so we can help connect you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So that's a good segue to, you full service. You offer both in-person and online counseling. Can you just talk about the little bit of the differences or the nuances between the two? But I know you do meet people where they're at. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's another one of our non-traditional methods that we offer at our community and in our office. I think sometimes we think, well, it would be easy just to come to an appointment. But for some of us and for some of our community, let me back up a little. Services of Hope, I would say, has about 85% Medicaid fee-based folks. Okay. And so that means the service is free for them. But when we think about folks that are on Medicaid, sometimes finances are a struggle. Sometimes basic needs are a struggle. And so if you can't have gas for your car, if you can't physically make it, some of our folks are working 2 and 3 jobs. They don't have an hour to get to our office. They don't have that drive time. So offering telehealth right from a smartphone or a computer is very good for them because it's convenient. They can do it from a smartphone. They can do it in the parking lot on their break, or they can come in. So we have continued to offer both services just to make it more convenient for everyone. We also are one of the only Spanish-speaking therapy practices in Michigan, not just Muskegon. So we have different referrals from 3 hours away by Detroit or Lansing, Oceana County, some more rural areas even. And so by offering telehealth, we can service those people as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, especially adding the bilingual piece. And so, again, listeners, if you know anyone that might be Spanish speaking and needs some connective services, you are indeed available. Well, I know when it comes to counseling services that confidentiality is paramount. Obviously, you do that. But I use a term from the work that I do for Muskegon Community College called mission moments. So when I have that person that says something to me, this is how MCC changed my life, that's a mission moment. That's why I do what I do. I'm going to assume you have dozens, if not hundreds, of mission moments experiences, through the work that you do. Can you share a moment where you've had a breakthrough or a situation with a client that reminds you this is why you do what you do?
Sure. I do have hundreds of those moments. And we have the privilege of being able to serve people, not their diagnoses, not the struggle that they are, but that person. And so for me, it happens every day. We offer a slew of services for adults and children. And so for some of those adults are mandated to come see us. They are in trouble with the court system. Maybe they have multiple felonies. Maybe they've been in prison and they're coming home. I've had people with OWIs or domestic violence situations. And so when they come into our office, it's the first time that somebody's actually treated them like a person. And it's not to say that maybe they needed those consequences and they need to be held accountable. That is true, and they're still a person. And so when they're mandated and they've gone through a court process, maybe it's their first time, they're scared and overwhelmed. They've never been through that before. So when they come into our office, they're like, wow, this is the first time I felt somebody treated me with respect, or that I felt like I was safe. So that to me is everything, because it doesn't matter if you're 3 years old or if you're 60. It doesn't matter how many felonies you have or if you've never been in trouble. We treat everybody the same. And so to me, that speaks volumes about my office and my staff, because everybody's the same. And I would say another side that happens all the time is when little kids are so excited to come see their therapist. They can't wait to get into that door. They want to see their therapist. They want to come to therapy. They want to see what they're doing today. And I think that's fantastic, because that generation is going to have a different view of what counseling and mental health is.
Okay, well, thank you for that. It was actually very refreshing to hear that. So just a couple of things. So on a lighter note, out there, if therapy was a music genre or a TV show, what do you think it would resemble?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded one. I would say that Disney did a really good job with the Inside Out movies.
Oh, okay.
I would say you get a well-rounded experience of all the emotions, because, again, you got to have the not-so-fun ones like anger and depression along with the joy, right? But also I think it was a sense of community. Riley in the show has her team, her hockey team. She's got different people that care about her and are checking her in with her. And then she also has her parents. And I think for our office, it's the same way. We are part of that team. So people don't have to feel alone. Even if they have their family and their supports, we're just another part of that, supporting them and cheering them on.
I think that's a cool analogy for me, because I've seen both Inside Out 1 and 2, and I see how that plays out where you need a balance of everything. So I thought that was a really cool analogy. So I've asked you a few questions. What would you like to share to anyone that might be listening that I haven't asked you yet?
Well, I guess just our foundation. We've been around for 12 years. We were founded in 2013. We have 12 different therapists, and right now I have 6 master level interns. So I get to keep them from September to next April, and they are excited about the future of what mental health can look like. I also think just to be creative, whatever it is that you'd like to work on, and it doesn't have to be your worst day. It could be, I am going to college, or I'm thinking about a different career change, or I just want to learn more about myself. Mental health is for everybody. We're talking about good mental health. Some of us know the things we're not supposed to do, but just to be thinking about, it's not me versus my client. It's all of us. I have to practice my good mental health by taking breaks, setting boundaries, making sure that I'm eating healthy and moving my body. Those are all part of good mental health, and sometimes we don't think about it in that way. So just to make sure that, again, it's not those people, it's us people, and we're here to help because we are you.
All right, very good. And while you were talking there, I thought about something, and this is a total me. And I think about the generation that I am and the era that I grew up in and what was there. So I would say there was stigma to therapy and mental health, or it would probably be viewed as weakness if you needed to go to a therapy. I'm talking about just from my upbringing. But the world has changed. If someone's listening right now and they think they need to talk to someone about whatever it is, what recommendation would you give them to take that first step, especially to dispel those myths and stigmas out there about talking to a therapist?
Sure. I would just remind them that mental health is, again, all of those facets: good finances, good security, spiritual connection, a family connection. So if you're thinking that you want some extra support or have been thinking about mental health, just to make sure that you honor yourself. Honor those thoughts that you're having, honor those feelings that you're having, because your body's telling you that you need something or that you need some support. And that doesn't mean you're crazy or that you need to change. It just means it's okay to have support and to have more coaches on your team and to have more people that care about you. I think especially in our Black and Brown communities, it has been really taboo. Even the name of my business is called Servicios de Esperanza. It was purposeful because I wanted to make sure that my community came. And I would say about 2% of our population are Spanish speakers. Why? Because it is still taboo. I think the new generation is embracing different thoughts and different ways to do that. And as supporters, we still need to have those conversations and to make sure that they know it's okay. A lot of us were taught whatever happens at home stays at home. And sometimes what's at home is not always beautiful. And so we got to make sure there is no perfect family, there's no perfect person. And so it's okay to have some extra support.
All right. Well, thank you for that advice and to overcome, the world is changing and it's okay to embrace all the resources that we do indeed have. So I want to go back and just dive a little bit deeper into the services that you offer. And I hope I pronounce all these correctly, but in researching it ready for our conversation, there are methods that you use in your practice like acceptance and commitment therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, eye movement, desensitization, reprocessing. You mentioned play therapy with the youth and art therapy. Tell us a little bit more about what those things mean and how that plays out in your practice.
Sure. I would say that there's different types of therapy. So sometimes you think you're only coming to talk, and really we might give you an activity. Right now we have an adult art therapy going that's called Creative Calm. It's just getting your brain to think differently. When we're asked a question, our brain has to shift to the left side of the brain, and that's where you have to have an actual response, and you really got to think about it. Your right side of the brain is your creative side. So you might be saying something or drawing something or acting something out in the sand tray that you would have never actually said, but your brain is creative and it's flowing. And so it's important to share with folks that it's okay to have different expressions of your feelings and your thoughts. So that would be our play therapy, our art therapy, sand tray. And then EMDR is a specialty where you don't even have to say anything. There are lights, it's eye movement. There's different activities that you can use where you don't even say a word and yet you're still in the healing process. So again, just different skills, different techniques, and to give folks an exposure to what therapy can be or look like for them, because it's not the same for everybody. And that's why we really operate from a person-centered philosophy.
Wow. And again, I learned something there. So again, just knowing that. So this is really awesome. So we have a homegrown person that's offering great services to our community that are extremely accessible, online, in person, bilingual access. So I think it's just fascinating to do this. So, before we wrap up just a little bit, the one thing, if someone's thinking about going, you address that. And then what about if something traumatic happens? What advice would you give if I was doing okay and then I had that big shift, whatever that may be? We won't define that. But I go from, I don't think I need to talk to somebody till tomorrow morning, I need to talk to somebody right now. Do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely. I would say that the way that we teach children about trauma is that trauma is an upsetting, confusing event. I think in my adult life, I've had a ton of different upsetting, confusing events, right? And so to think about trauma doesn't have to be something horrific. It doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It could be something that's upsetting or confusing. So to make sure that we're honoring those thoughts, we're honoring those feelings, because it could be something so small to someone else, but be really big for us. So again, going back to those resources, it is Suicide Prevention Month. So 988 is a 24-hour free phone call that you can make. You can text it, you can call it, you can email it, and you get a live person that's going to talk to you. In Muskegon, we have Health West. They have a crisis mobile unit that can come out to your house. It doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. We have our hospitals where you can go at any time and you can meet with a therapist there. And then for our services, we are an outpatient clinic, and so we're the lowest level of care. We want to make sure that we're getting you when we're having those small traumas or those small changes, but also connecting you to the big ones too. Because sometimes we do need extra services or support like psychiatry or case management. And so we can help with identifying what those look like and how to connect you to the right resource.
Okay. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. I learned a lot. We've explored a lot, and I think we've shared some awesome resources for our community. Again, one more time, what is that website people can go to find you?
Sure, servicesofhopecounseling.com.
Okay, very good. And to our listeners, thanks again for listening to the Muskegon Rising podcast. I am signing off. This is Ken James. Have a great rest of your day.